computer. You can only do a gigabyte to the cloud, and if you couldn't tell, I'd probably expire that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we're recording. Cool. So the agenda for today, I want to talk about at the end of the meeting. I want to be able to have you ideally get into being able to write or do some animation work. If that's too ambitious, you think, let me know, and then we'll adjust the expectations. But and then if we do get into it, I would like to be able to talk to you about if there's a way to make kinetic typography videos without manually doing everything for like longer form content. But anyway, that's just a far aside. So did you get the recording I sent you yesterday?
Yeah, I listened to some of it.
Okay. Basically, that was just like I guess what we need to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we need to like take the who, what, when, where, why, like really distill all of those into maybe just the why and the what, or the why and the how, or
Yeah, it's the why and the how.
Why and the how. Okay. So there's a few different whys, and that video, it was, I described it obviously over text, but because I can't do videos or else we wouldn't be here. All right. You'd probably still be here, but, so that was one of the whys. That was like, that was the why. It's too hard to get the attention of people like in one niche part of the internet. Like, there are conversations that could be happening that aren't happening just because the line of people to sign the book is too long.
Right.
So that's one of the whys. Did that make sense? Like, did you get the idea at least?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it. I guess you need to figure out what audience you're trying to reach. Are you trying to reach people who are familiar with Reddit and how this stuff works and other platforms like this?
I think that's the best step. I don't think going and getting Facebook audiences that they clearly don't really care much for quality conversation. I don't think that kind of audience would be the best audience to target. Correct me if you disagree, but I
mean that presents how low you have to distill it.
Yeah,
is what audience you go for. So you can be a little bit more high level if that's the audience you want, rather than Joe off the street that wants to get involved reading a book.
Yeah. So you think the Reddit audience would consume something a little bit higher level than that?
I think so. Especially, I mean, you're not trying to go for the largest denominator. You're trying to get people who are interested in. So I think you go a little bit more high level.
Yeah, I'm talking kind of like, are you familiar with the intellectual dark web? Like
yes, but I've never been involved.
Okay, well, they're the crowd that's consuming 3.5 hour podcasts, and nothing said about the content or anything, but there's like an attention span there. But there's also the unknown element that we're coming at that with. I'm not in the intellectual dark web, so I have no merit to their ear. So we've got to look at it that way too, and the attention goes down as you add all these little pieces into the puzzle,
Yeah, and there's too much in that particular area. There's too much speculation for me. Like too many people that think they know what's going on without any proof or any data, and no one's coming forward.
Which area is that? The intellectual dark web?
Yeah, and more of that sort of that area. There's a lot of people that like speculating and putting 1 and 2 together and putting dots on a board.
Do you have an example so I can know who you're talking about?
Not really. I've just been familiar with some of those groups, and it's kind of like, I'm just speaking out off my ass right now, but it's just kind of like, yeah, that could be happening, but it's a little more conspiratory. It's not conspiracy theory, but it's more like intellectual conspiracy theory, where they go into a tangent about something that could be happening because it makes sort of sense and they've got vague data on it.
Sure.
Too much of that going on. I would rather have something concrete that's scientific, and talking about that in a group and discussing what it can mean that's been a proven theory or something that's actually been done, rather than go into a discussion about what pyramid circle opens up a gateway to hell? And it's like, how does that even happen? That's not intellectual.
That's okay. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm not sure who you're talking about. I am not interested in those
A
conversations.
lot of the discussions get suddenly start turning into that direction. It's not that far, but like pure fantasy, where it's like,
yeah,
oh, well, the Incans had a power conductor, so they could have done this. And someone's like, yeah, there was a study proving. It's like, no, that's all bullshit.
Yeah. You gotta. Did you read the study? Who wrote the study? Where who cited the study?
Yeah.
There's lots. Anyway, let's.
No, we don't want those people.
Well, we want whoever merits their way into.
Yeah, I guess the community will value it, and if they want to value somebody who thinks the Incans had a nuclear power plant, that's fine.
Right. All we want to do is set up a fair marketplace for a more opportune sharing of ideas based on merit. And we don't want to say, oh, these people can come and these people can't come, because then we get into the same problem of censorship that we're at today.
Right. Yeah, the community can.
And yeah, exactly. And that's one of these things. I don't want to go into the idea too much because I feel like me and you both understand it pretty well. But people are going to post, all kinds of terrible shit online. Like, people are terrible people, but you can't. I feel like maybe you censor like the child porn and the pedophilia and that kind of shit, but you don't if there's just language that's incredibly offensive that's not a direct incitement to violence. I think any language like that's less than the direct incitement in one step, like, hey, I'm coming to your house tomorrow and I'm going to kill you. Even that, it's like online. Somebody said that to me the other day, and it's like, no, you're not. And if you do, then, well, I better live a good life until that point. But if that's in person, and if I'm face to face with you and we're in a bar fight and I'm like, I've got a gun in my car, I'm going to kill you, you should call the police. Or you should get the fuck out of there. You should call the police. But if I just say, you are such an idiot, you piece of shit, like, I hope you die, it's like that person is naturally going to be filtered out by any kind of application of applied knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah, in my militant part of my brain, I wish I could just throw everybody out that's a lazy intellectual that just comes up with theories because they sound good and it's more exciting. But I know you can't, because some of those turn out to be true. Right.
And then, yeah. So anyway, let's, just to reiterate, we're trying to design a non-authoritarian filtering mechanism. Right. And so the knowledge, you have to let the bodies of knowledge that develop do that. And I have faith that will, I think knowledge and truth are filters for ideological possession. And I don't think you can get to violence without some kind of ideological possession.
That's what makes the implementation of the blockchain so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because you can set a time and place, and then you can go back to that time and place and find out what the data was at that moment.
Exactly.
And you can't, 20 years later, remember it a different way.
Right. Yeah, exactly. In 1984, it's like, 4 years ago we were at war with Eurasia, but now we're at war with East Asia. But then 4 years from now, we'll be at war with Eurasia. It's like, what are they doing to us? Why are we at war with them? And who won the war? It's like, it's just all propaganda and bullshit at some point. Let's not get too far into the woods, but don't take that as I don't want to talk about that stuff. Take it as I want to try and get through this meeting and not.
No, I think the thing right now is, if you want to go for that audience, you don't have to distill it as much as I first anticipated you had to.
Cool. So let's take that analogy of just the waiting in line to talk, to get your book signed. What level do you bring that up to, in your opinion?
Mm. Well, first off, what's your idea behind that analogy?
So,
what does that represent to you?
That represents to me, like, on Twitter, if someone has 800, let's say there's like a limit, like above about 10,000 followers, it's not very likely, just due to the sheer notifications they'd probably receive. And the number's probably higher than that. But, there's a very, very low likelihood that you'll be able to communicate with them in any kind of purposeful kind of way.
So you want people to be able to communicate with other people that have a high intellectual or knowledge,
or just, or like,
kind of popularity.
Yeah, popularity is I guess the best word to describe it.
Yeah.
But you know,
There's a lot of really smart people that no one listens to.
that's true. But now they're starting to. There's like that. I want you to look up a little bit about the intellectual dark web and let me know what you think. It's I
Yeah.
don't. They're not talking about pyramids and unsubstantiated bullshit.
That's
Because
good.
I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. Um, but that'll help give you a better idea for like a general target odd. It's the I'm targeting the audience of that thing primarily. Thing people like Brett Weinstein, Eric Weinstein. Um, you know, people you might not like people like Ben Shapiro as much, just from like
Yeah.
a political perspective. But I really seriously invite you to let me know if there's anybody you find there that you know you disagree with the ideas they're saying rather than some kind of ad hominem
Oh, you
thing.
mean like Sam Harris and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, Brett Weinstein, Eric
Yeah.
Weinstein. Yeah, those guys. You familiar with them?
I am familiar with Sam Harris.
Yeah. So I mean, is he doing anything that's
No, no, these are different people.
yeah.
But I mean, even at that point, there's a lot of these guys, which is interesting. They come from a knowledge background, but they are still on some level a little bit of theorists.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And yeah, no I'm not looking for pure science here.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for let's make the conversations that are had, let's make it easier to determine. Well, another group, let me talk about another group of people that I'm targeting. So on Reddit, when you go into a subreddit, you know, all a subreddit is a string of characters. And then they've got some abstract rules behind them. And you know, the moderators enforce the rules, and then you got to flare your content and just you have to do all this work. And you always have to do a little bit of work. But you have to do all this work and then you have to follow the rules of the moderators. And then the likelihood that your content's going to get seen by anybody that gives a shit about it is lower than it could be.
right.
The likelihood you'll spawn a conversation based off your work is just really low. Like I could write, not saying I do write good essays because my writing's shit, but let's say I write a good essay on a thought, I might get 5 people to read it. Whereas if I write a stupid meme about how it's Jordan Peterson owns some left-leaning politician on TV, then it'll get 1,000 upvotes. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, that's the kind of community that's behind this kind of person right now. You know, and I just don't like that. But you can't just make your own rules within that community. So I think that one of the solutions is designing the new community framework, and that's what this knowledge platform would be. One of the things it would be a few different things.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I mean, people would ask the question, how would you even do that? Because I mean, a person's time is not infinite.
Right. Yeah. Then we get back to the whole system of knowledge that we've been talking about.
So in the system, would it be tiers like you have to present a certain amount of ability of knowledge to be able to talk to people on this level?
yeah, yeah.
So
But
it's
it'd
like
be all
tiers.
transparent. It wouldn't be culty.
Right, but it's like as soon as you reach level 8, you can talk to level 8, 9, and 10s.
And influence the conversation. You can write into that repository by influencing the vote and by contributing written or
Right. So if you just start out, you can't talk to, say, Sam Harris.
No, and let me be clear. Um, I don't think it's very likely that if this is really successful and it works exactly the way I think, then yeah, I think people like Sam Harris would say, I want to have a serious intellectual conversation with my fans, because that's, I mean, I don't know exactly what followers, disciples, like call them whatever you want, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
People who are interested in what you have to say. And so on Twitter, Sam Harris could engage, with some idiot that's saying, Sam, you're a moron, and just say, no, I'm not. Look at all my stuff. Or he could come over here and pick from the top like 20 or 50 people to have a conversation with. And I think that's intellectually attractive.
Right. Now that makes sense.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That makes sense. We should focus on explaining that system too.
Cool. And then are you familiar with Sybil attacks?
No.
So Sybil attacks are like when you create a new system and you incentivize some kind of like network growth, or if there's some kind of incentive to have
Oh yeah.
join, you're just going to have a bunch of drones and clones come and join the network. To think Uber free rides. You're going to invite 100 fake people from Indonesia, from Click Farms. I say Indonesia, I don't know. So what that does is your vote. Anybody can come join, but then it's proof of work to show that you care about anything. And so, like you said, people have limited time. You limit the programmatic manipulability of, the API or something like that. And you kind of make it so that, people can't have this much knowledge. So if one actor is going to come in and, act, maliciously towards the network, you can fight those off through the gates of knowledge, in other words. So you've got the gate around your city, and the Mongols are coming, but the gate is knowledge, and the Mongols don't read any books.
Right, and just because if you're a smart person doesn't mean you know about the subject matter.
Exactly. You got to exactly. Bingo. Okay, I think we're connecting a little bit deeper there. So basically, what you do is the blue Twitter verification.
Yes.
So how do you get that? You just write Twitter and email.
Publicist, basically.
Yeah, you have a publicist. So that's stupid. Like anybody should have their verified identity if they want it. So then the network that's most competent surrounding your criteria, like your material, that's going to be the verified Sam Harris. And
that's a good idea. I've got a good example of this.
Yeah.
I know a guy who is an expert, a literal expert on a certain genre of anime.
Yeah.
He doesn't know much about anything else. And it surprised me when I saw him on a random video on a conference table talking to an audience about this specific thing he knows.
Yeah.
Because the guy was normally like, I want to say he didn't come across a very bright person. But he knew a lot about this one subject. And I randomly found a video of him speaking at a conference, and I told him about it. And he was like, oh yeah, I know about this a lot. And people invite me places. It's like, that's the kind of person that would be in a room that talk about that certain level of anime.
Yeah.
Because he is like so knowledgeable about it, but you're not going to put him in a room with physicists because he doesn't know anything.
Exactly. So he'd be like a level 10, and then
anime, pop, whatever the hell it is.
Exactly. He'd be a level 10 on that specific genre of anime. And,
right, you can filter out and talk to people that are level 9s in that particular level of genre.
Yeah.
And everyone get elevated by each other.
That's how fucking fascinating would that conversation be?
For them, it would be amazing.
Well, and then if you're a fan of that anime, then you think it's like a derivative, right? So if there's like a passionate conversation going on about content, and these people really know the content, and you can always read what's above the levels.
Oh, of course, yeah, it's just participation.
Participation is blocked by the proof of knowledge. And so what that guy would have to do, well, he wouldn't have to do this, but the way the system would work is it would encourage him cryptoeconomically, we'll get there later if we need to, to submit his knowledge in the form of like a quiz bank, multiple choice, multiple answer, stuff like that.
Or I think you should have it, if they can have proof of knowledge online already that they know this and present it to the community. Like if he has YouTube videos where he's at conferences talking about this and he presents the community, they should elevate him up.
That's absolutely right. And that's exactly. So you take his YouTube videos and you allow the community to come and say, here's a YouTube video by expert A. And then you bring in the video, same thing as Reddit. Like you link to Reddit you link to your video from Reddit, you post a link. And then what we have to do is you have to link to the little clip you have to take the clip where it's like, this is an opinion that he has on this part of the anime, or this is something he said to prove some kind of knowledge about XYZ. I don't have any example of the anime, but like this character's name arises for the first time in episode 14. And then that's a fact, and you can either say that's true or false, and then you can bring in other evidence that says, oh, no, it's not. So you get an archival of knowledge, you get a proof of knowledge, and you get a way for new people coming to the network to prove their competency and elevate their ability to participate in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of system that needs to happen somewhere.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
I'm really tired of going on art forums and having a guy like show off something and then explain why he's wrong, and then him saying you're wrong, and basically he's got no knowledge of what he's talking about.
Exactly. Everybody's got an opinion, right?
Yeah, opinion doesn't mean knowledge.
Exactly. So everybody's got an opinion. So what we need to do is, okay, just put some skin in the game. If you really want to be participating in this conversation, it's kind of like Eminem's new album. Have you heard? Do you listen to any kind of rap or anything?
Yeah, I've heard what's going on between the
MGK.
Yeah, the little fight off, which I think is total bullshit and made up.
Oh, most of it is just to get more.
I think Eminem's got some skin in the game on the other guy. He owns part of whatever he's doing, and he's trying to get him elevated.
Maybe. I'm not so sure. I think that's true.
It's bullshit, because if it wasn't, Eminem wouldn't even bother responding to him.
Let's not get too far to the woods, but that's going to be a topic of conversation.
I'm telling you, somebody that owns something that Eminem owns that guy.
Maybe. Okay. Well,
coming in on both angles.
We could prove that. We could look at who owns Shady Records and who owns Interscope. Not Interscope, but
see where his investments go and who owns what.
Just follow the money, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, that's all it is. Rap battles are just making each other popular. The big guy takes on the little guy. The little guy gets money. The big guy gets money in the back door.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, I got to be an asshole here. We got to keep chucking forward because we're making progress. But wouldn't it be cool to see? Okay, well, actually, I have this body of knowledge around Eminem that's not opinionated. It's like facts about his experience and his life and his music. And then you could see mine's over here, and then yours is like that, or it's like that, and then we could have the conversation and be like.
Yeah, like a shareholder that actually is part of the share of a company that Eminem owns that happens to own a share of the company that this other guy owns.
Hey, I wouldn't.
I'm an expert because I work with these people, and here's what's going on.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was anybody else, but I think Eminem is different than that. I could be wrong. That's my opinion. But we'll leave it at that. So okay.
He's a disciple of what's his name, who's worth like $4 billion. Eminem knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, he does. We'll get there. We'll get there soon.
Tony, come here. The cat.
Yeah, poor guy. Okay, so we've kind of got so let's just walk through what we've got so far. So we've got a filtering mechanism for, based on knowledge. We've got a provable, verifiable identity system for people that are worth identifying. So what really you want, like identities verified once, well, it's kind of it's like a truism. You want identities verified when they're worth verifying. And at what point are they worth verifying? Well, if you establish a body of knowledge around somebody's work, maybe that's the point at which they should be verified. So that network also has the motivation to make sure that if somebody comes and claims, hey, here's Sam Harris coming to claim his identity on this network, there's one Sam Harris that we're talking about. There's plenty of people named Sam Harris, but we're talking about the individual. We know the same individual we're referring to. And so they're not going to just they'll decide their own way. Like, hey, Sam, you'll have like the level 10s or something like that. And you'll have to have some like trust between the network and the new people coming in. Cause like, what's Sam going to do to prove his identity? Like make a video, probably hold up a piece of paper that says, I'm Sam Harris on this blah, blah, blah network, just like Bill Gates does when he comes to Reddit.
Can you somehow link it to a code that only is generated that only he knows, that when he shows on the video, it can be verified by a certain group?
I guess you would send it to an already existing verified identity?
Yeah.
Where would you send it?
That's the trouble, right?
Yeah.
Well, so maybe the person that's claiming they're Sam Harris gets the code information, but then it's an actual video of him presenting that code.
Yeah, it has to be a video of him presenting the code, but then we've got problems with deepfake. Like I'm thinking a little bit down the road where we've got.
No, I mean I know totally how that is, because that shit is that's nuts.
Scary. Let me just show you.
There's going to have to be some serious moral compasses coming up soon, which I don't think is going to happen.
Or we have to get clever. You see these little fuckers?
Oh, yeah?
So what I'm going to do is they're called tentacles, all right? And what you do is you pop your phone onto here, and you can set it up. It's just like a tripod that's flexible and mountable everywhere. So like I've got it like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have recordings of my work where I'm going to have my name. I'm going to make the new digital wax seal. that used to put in the Renaissance days, and the new like cryptographic keys, because cryptographic keys aren't going to matter if somebody can literally have a video of your face or a video of you doing something that you didn't do.
Right.
And so I'm going to be filming my screen with this. And essentially what you do is you make it so fractally complicated for a computer to go in and be like, how do I fake this? And then the use case of, making a machine learning network to crack this kind of thing. So you have this thing recording the screen. I'm screen recording, and I'm also here. It's all my ideas, and I like to type out all my ideas live. And if you look at my YouTube channel, I've got that live book writing. And then so I've got a stopwatch. I'm going to eventually have like my flashing name on the screen, and in a place where it's like it's blocking some of the content, but not all of it. So you're going to have a machine learning algorithm that can do all of that and fake it. And eventually there's just so much effort that would have to be put forth to fake that you can't fake it. Now, that's not saying the content can't be stolen. The content can easily be stolen. But what we need to do to counter that is to create attribution chains based off blockchain technology where the longest chain earns value. So if you want to go ahead and steal something, that's fine. But it's actually more valuable to say, hey, I found this over here and I was inspired by it, if it's worth stealing, right? Like Pink Floyd's Stairway to Heaven. They stole that riff from some other band. If they could say, if they got, some economic incentive, and this is where copyright law comes in, copyright law is a really low resolution version of this, that the longer attribution chain is the more valuable chain. And so you're going to have deepfake and you're going to have all that, but then I can come back to my identity on the blockchain and say, look, it originated from here at this point in time, just like you were talking about earlier. And unless you find something where this content came from that was earlier than that point, then it's mine. I own that content. I'm at the root, I'm at the seed of that attribution tree.
You know what that's like?
Avatar's Navi network of mushrooms and shit for communicating?
No, genetics.
Oh,
if
fuck.
you find the most genetically diverse animal, and that's where the animal originated from. And
you want to know why that is?
Because they got the most shit. Once
No, not an explanation for that idea, but why what I just explained is like DNA and genetics.
Why?
Because all good ideas are natural ideas.
That's right.
So if you can take, and I've got plenty of ideas that are inspired by nature, but if you just take look at what happens with the boom. What happens with a boom? Well, then there's a crash. Like if the earth functioned like that, we'd all be fucked. But it doesn't. There's always constant decay and constant growth and synthesis and growth and death and birth. But that doesn't. Yeah.
It might just happen so slow we don't know there's a constant boom. If we were faster, if we could take in time and span that an Earth can, maybe it is instantaneous.
Yeah, well,
but for us, it's not because we're in the middle.
Well, if our science can tell us anything, and if the universe is about 15 billion years old, then the Earth's been around for what, like 2/5 of that, and that's a pretty fucking long time. If we're talking about, and then we could talk theories of let's not get too far into the fucking woods. But anyway, that's the attribution. That's how you fix the deep fake problem, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of thinking at this point, along with the video that's short, you probably need to start putting some of this online in some sort of readable format, the more information.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information that is not going to be able to present it in this video.
Right.
It needs to live somewhere.
I want to write that content, but I also want to write that content as a very, very rudimentary. I want to do like a bootstraps thing. I want to pull this network up from its own bootstraps as best as I can. So I will write it down, and I've got all these ideas. I want to figure out, I need some help condensing things, obviously. But it's all up there.
The most solid idea you have right now, the most solid thing is having a network where you don't have to have people who haven't proved their knowledge participating in your discussion.
Yeah.
That to me is like a game changer, because I would be more interested in going on a sculpting platform where people have had to prove they know what the hell they're doing before they get in there. And I've had to do the same thing. So we're all at this respectable level.
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like when I was first learning how to use computer graphics and somebody that's been using 3D Studio Max for 3 years. I was asking him all these questions, and he was like, at this point, you're going to realize in a year your questions are really, really dumb right now. Like, I can't even answer them because they're so fundamentally, like, I can't explain it until you do it. You're not even at that level to talk to the person about it.
Well, that's just a sign of a poor teacher. And then from this, actually,
right. Well, he's not a teacher, and a lot of people that get on these things aren't teachers.
Right,
They
but
don't have discussions
because they don't have any incentive to do so. But
Right.
if they could say that they taught you something and they helped elevate your level of knowledge, then we also have proof of teaching, which nobody has, and then we inspire a whole nother genre of just like, helping people understand things.
Well, that's why if you're at a level 10, you should be able to talk to people below and up and above you.
You can.
Below you, at a certain level, get raised up to a 10, but you don't have to talk to people so low that you're trying to raise them up from nothing.
Think about it. Right. You want an upward draft. Just like, again, it's a natural upward draft of like, that's how birds fly. There's heat drafts that move upward towards the atmosphere because of like how all the shit works. So think about it this way. So at the top, and I would like to do an animation let's do like key animation ideas. I've got this doc. If you hop in, it's untitled right now. Let me send it to you so we can animation doc. Animation. I'm just going to call it animation and share, and anyone with the link can view. I'm going to let you edit it, Jake the Great, but then anybody with the link can view, and I'll just share it to the chat.
Got it.
Okay, you got it. So key animation ideas. Okay, so let's say setting in a internet forum, and then what's happening. Frustrated users inundated by unsubstantiated, blah, blah, blahing. Somehow we need to indicate that they've shown provably some body of knowledge.
Right.
And then they have this slider that they can use to filter out people of lower competency.
I'm thinking maybe it'd be fun to do in a circle that goes from one outward, and it adjusts, like the light adjusts, like I want to talk to people in here, I want to talk to people in this area, and it kind of goes in and out rather than a slide bar.
I think a circle is better. Yeah. How do you? Okay.
Like you have a dial in the middle, like goes from the outside all the way into color, and then the light starts going away in the inside, and so you're only talking to the outer bands of the knowledge, not the people starting at level 1.
So wouldn't the inside be the core? The core knowledge is the
no, because
level
there's no
10?
end to it. The inside has to be 1 because.
Oh, right.
Is there going to be a top level? I don't think so.
No, it's all going to be statistics too. We're not going to just say like level 10. It's the level is dependent on the volume of the knowledge base.
Right. So you have to start probably in the middle and go outward.
Unless you start in the middle and go inward and then expand the middle.
Yeah, it's going to be too confusing.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we're talking UI.
Imagine Earth is where you're starting with your knowledge, and the universe is the rest of the knowledge. You're going out.
Yeah, you're right. But then if we look on the Eastern mythologies, the knowledge comes from within.
I'm not Eastern.
Right.
Yeah, but it comes from the universe inward to you.
Or is the universe just the universe observing itself, Jake?
You know, and it's all holographic because it's just light bouncing off stuff millions of years ago. What you see in the sky doesn't really exist. The further you go out, the further it changes.
Yeah.
Go out 3 billion light years. You can take a telescope back to Earth and watch the dinosaurs run around. But that's neither here nor there.
Literally. Okay. So we have some UI that you can just imagine. I'm just trying to communicate this idea in terms of the animation, right? So
yeah, I think the animation was.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So we have that slider, dial, circle thing that you can just say, somehow you need to indicate to an ignorant user. I say ignorant because they've never heard of what we're doing.
Right.
So you have some way of saying like and then all like due to the Pareto distribution, you've got like 90% of the content that just goes away because nobody read the article.
Right.
Because that's the rule of Reddit. It's etiquette to read the article before you post it, but nobody does that. And then we get this disparate upvote, downvote. And then the first comment of a really popular article is always, this article is clickbait. And then it's like, why is that? It's because nobody read the fucking article.
Well, I love it when people comment on the article and people have purposely put a different subject line that doesn't reflect the article. And people are responding to the title.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you're a moron. You had to read it.
Well, there we go. There we go. We shouldn't call people a moron, but then we just have the system make it so that you can't comment on this. And then you go.
We're not officially calling anyone a moron. That's me.
Right.
Well,
I know.
Not the subject matter.
I know. I'm just being pedantic here. So we've got it at the Sam Harris level, right? Sam Harris, the body of knowledge around Sam Harris. Well, how do you establish a body of knowledge with Sam Harris? Like, he's composed of all the small little works that Sam Harris has made, his speeches, his lectures, his YouTube videos, his podcasts. It's his whole brand. So you have to be familiar now with the actual brand of the individual, because there's just a huge body of knowledge, because we can create essentially knowledge at a faster rate now, due to the video revolution, the technological revolution. But then we're not doing anything with that, and that's the problem. So with an article that Sam Harris has written, it's a fucking long article. Like, he's a brilliant guy, has a lot to say. He speaks very well, but I'm not going to go read one of his articles, because if I'm reading one of his articles, then I'm not writing my own. But then that also, we get this little plateauing that happens because I have no incentive directly to go consume his content. So he has to take people that are thinking hard enough about problems, but not actually coming up with their own solutions. And so we form bubbles of inefficiency in terms of like solving these problems. So ignore all that. That's not important. And I'm going to start saying things in a way where I'm ignoring the explanation, because I feel like sometimes it just clutters the message. So if I'm going to say something, and then if you don't agree, and then the last thing there is, when I do that and then somebody explains the thoughts that I left off, I'm like, God damn it. Like, should I have explained that in the first place or no? So when Sam Harris posts an article, then you go and consume that actual article and break that down into its factual tidbits. And then obviously, like, you can't really draw the values from the facts necessarily, but at least you can show that, okay, they actually read the article. They're familiar with the work. And then so they get some Sam Harris points. Sam Harris gets attention, which is valuable. And we link that up all on the blockchain and eventually get...
Can they filter out what they found important and then pass that on, linking to the bigger article?
They can submit new quiz questions. I call them quiz questions. You know what I'm referring to, right? You can submit new questions to the question bank with answers and with proof linking back to the document.
Right.
Which also, another thing this does is it enables the free sharing of information. So it removes the need for a Patreon. Now, people will still have Patreon for a while. I will use Patreon for this idea, but eventually you'll get paid the more you share free content. Right. And so that's kind of counterintuitive, and I understand that, but Patreon is, we're putting up an economic wall between knowledge and non-knowledge. Mm-hmm. And that's not good, but it's kind of like the necessary paradigm that has to happen. Like, before the Gutenberg revolution, you had to write down the book. So it's like, I'm not going to write down that book, and what the fuck do you mean I'm going to give you this for free? And then after the Gutenberg revolution, now we're still operating under that paradigm, because our biological operating system just updates very slowly, and it's driven by the technology rather than the other way around. And right. So what we need to do is we need to update our BIOS, our operating system, to say, okay, well, we can share this for free and also make money without ads, without manipulative bullshit, without paywalls, without discrete payments. Like, literally, if we can take this thing and show that they understand each other, there's some kind of bond that we can commoditize now. And that's what blockchain does. So sorry about that little tangent there. As I said, I was going to stop doing tangents. I go on another tangent. So with that article, though, your question was, can they share what they think is valuable? Yes, they'll submit to the question bank, and then we'll have the attribution back to them if people, as people will inevitably see and answer those questions.
Right.
But it's not going to be like, I thought this, and that was valuable. It's like, okay, that's fine. But then we get into the opinion-based, conversation, because, if conversations were just facts, they'd be very, very dry.
Right, right.
So you have the conversation around the content, but you also have a proof that the people that are having the conversation, and maybe if you get to a high enough level of competency, it's like Halo. Like if you lose, you go down, but if you win, you're going to stay where you are. Are you familiar with the Halo ranking system?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So like you're not going to stay, like Call of Duty keeps you there forever, regardless of how bad you suck. But Halo is like, well, if you lose, if you're saying things that are unreasonable, if you're using, and then we got into this the other meeting about where you can have like, as you level up, then you have like the ability to rate things as like ad hominem attack or like incitement to violence or just bad things in a conversation. Just like, not things like you're being an asshole. Cause some people that are passionate about things are just assholes. That's unfortunately.
You should have some sort of ranking when someone goes in to check out what someone's saying of trustworthiness.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think we should do that?
That I'm not sure of, but I mean, you could basically not have serious knowledge on a certain subject, but could be trustworthy enough to basically be like, yeah, this is hostile, and you have a trustworthy rating of it, but you might not be knowledgeable on the subject. So if you're trustworthy, people can take your opinions, but if
okay, yeah,
it's a different way of rating what your opinion is. If people consider you to be fair and trustworthy.
That actually gets to my nexus. So I've got an idea for a much bigger thing, but this is a whittling down of that idea. So what you just touched on got into that idea. It's basically a way to promote virtues. And instead of just knowledge, it's like, well, are you kind? Are you respectful? Are you honest? Are you, are you helpful? Are you a good teacher? Like all the religious things, all the philosophical things, all the, the Greek gods, all of that were based on this kind of idea. What we need to do though is start from the foundation, and the foundation is knowledge. And then from that, we can go on to create new things. But so if it's shown that you're trustworthy, well, I guess more accurately, you would be a high level in this particular area. So you're trustworthy in that area. Because we don't want to have a controlling body going around like, ooh, I'm trustworthy. Like I can go, I can go say this person's being mean and get their message filtered by some people. Because then you don't have the network filtering meanness. You have the individual allowed to change their slider of like where's your safe space? I hate the term safe space, but like then you can go and say, you see what I'm getting at there? You don't want to impose any kind of opinion like that on the consumers of the content. Do you see what I'm getting at there? Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, but there is a problem where the majority could vote something out when it's a legitimate thing, and you need somebody, in rare cases, some group to stop conflict. Because if it's a minority opinion, but it's a valid one.
Think Galileo, right?
Yeah, and you're voted off the page. Is there any way to dispute that because you're in a minority opinion, even though it's a valid one?
Well, you can't. Let's assume that that once it's posted, it's there for good. All right. So let's start with that premise. So once it's posted, it's there, and so the people, anybody on the network can come and look. Hey, you posted XYZ here, and that could be something as atrocious as like an ISIS beheading video. Like, just think about the worst thing that you could post, and it's something like one of the 7 deadly sins, like hurting a child or really fucked up shit that people should be either given the death penalty for, or like, not posting that shouldn't be the death penalty, but like really, really fucked up shit. Like people, you just have to assume people are evil. And so they're going to do something like that. Like rape, pedophilia, those kinds of things. So people are going to post that online. That's a fact. Nobody wants to see that is not, I would say those people that want to view that kind of content are psychologically, psychiatrically, they're not there. Like there's some issue going on there. So nobody's going to want to see that. So you can start off with like primary filters, and then you like there's a line you draw where you're like, okay, what are the filters that we have? And then obviously you can come back from that and say, oh well, your platform's just going to be full of like incestual porn. It's like, no, because you have, in order to manipulate the results, you have to demonstrate some knowledge. So you can't just go post that everywhere. You see what I'm getting at here? Like there's a few different moving pieces that are all linked up here that go towards the filtering problem. And it has to be drawn at a really, really, really low level of say, like very close to violence. That line has to be very close to the direct incitement to violence to limit that speech. And say you can't move these sliders because this is not a platform for viewing those kinds of things. But if you're just being really, 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 really mean and not inciting any violence, then
yeah. But how do you stop the violence inciting posts without?
Give me an example. Let's go a concrete example here because it's very abstract and there's lots of moving parts. So set me up a scene that we're coming into that we have to evaluate.
You post a video of someone being murdered, and you're saying that you need to find these people in your community and murder them, just like this video shows.
Okay, so what is well, if you're saying that, then I mean you should then you should go. That's a direct incitement to violence. I'm going to go murder these people in my community. You take the IP.
Yeah, but who does this?
Who does this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
Because that's what I'm getting at. How do you get something like that filtered without 200 people seeing it to get the upvotes to take it down?
Well, people wouldn't upvote it because
enough votes to take it out because you don't want that sort of content to spread to enough people that it generates enough power to take it down. See, that's where the problem fits in with not having any moderators. You need, like, say the content's there and the network's so big that you need like 500 people to say it's bad to take it down. You've just spread that message to 500 people.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Right. Okay, so let's say that so first of all, that's I'm going to tell you my assumptions, and then I'm going to tell you what I think a solution could be. So I'm going to assume that people aren't going to have their filter levels by default to show all content posted. In other words, the filter level that people are going to choose is going to be somewhere between somewhere between what their level of knowledge is and what the top level of knowledge is. Like, I don't think anybody's going to filter out the top level of knowledge because I think that will be the most fascinating conversation. But they're not going to likely want to see what's below them because you're not interested in that. It's like the blender.
The problem is that stuff is posted.
Right. Okay. It's posted.
Find it, they say it exists on your network and you need X amount of people to take it down. But when people start out, maybe I don't know the answer to this. Maybe they can't post direct links until they prove knowledge. I don't know.
Some level of knowledge.
But the problem is that.
Walk me through who would be posting that video. Describe to me their profile, because it's all contextual, right? If they it's an important question to answer.
If you have an open format, then anyone can come post anything, but
exactly,
people won't see it unless they're at that level. But the problem is it's on your network, and the fact is that other people will go looking for bad stuff like this.
How will they find it?
Well, I mean, if you post something, there has to be a level that anybody can find it.
Right.
And then you got a problem with, even if the network itself works in a way that the majority of people don't look at crackpot stuff that's not proven, that's fine. But then you have outside people going, it's on your network, you need to shut this whole thing down.
Right. Well, it's decentralized, so you can't. It will eventually be decentralized, so you can't shut it down. But I think one of the problems you're touching on is when you decentralize a network, like if you look at Gab.io, it's full of just racism and sexism.
Right. That's my point.
Right, but those people aren't. That I mean, I'm making a blanket statement here. Racism is an ideology. It's like we're all one fucking human glob of people. So you're a fucking moron if you think your race is better than the other one. Yeah, like sure, IQ can be different.
Race doesn't exist anyway. It's made up.
Right. Right, but like IQ is different. There's a various, spectrum of things that happen. Ability to play sports, ability to. Everybody's fucking different, and there's going to be a range of who's better at playing soccer and who's better at playing baseball, basketball, football. There's going to be a range. Sports, education. There's going to be a range of, like, otherwise, if there wasn't a range, you wouldn't be able to say, "I'm going to listen to this podcast right now," because you couldn't evaluate what's better.
Well, I mean, the fundamental reason this network would exist is to basically make it so you don't have to listen to those people.
Exactly, because they're not educated. If you
but the other problem is, you run into the problem with ignorance, not understanding what the network's supposed to be. So someone would just go in there, drop all their filters, and go look at all this bullshit.
Fair enough. I can't stop those people.
Centralized doesn't matter. No one can really stop it. No one owns it. No one's making money off it.
Yeah.
But if there is any sort of body that's controlling it in any form or making any money on it, then it's going to be a target for like getting taken down, which is why I had to put moderators in.
Right. So what I'm trying to walk you through is the way. So let me finish the Gab thing, right? So let me just finish that so we can get back. So Gab is full of a bunch of people that me and you and I think reasonable, kind people would disagree with their opinions. But they're their opinions. I mean, is it based in fact? No. Is most of it an opinion? Yes. Is it hateful? Yeah. Like should you block that from those people being able to say what they think? No. And that's counterintuitive. You should not block that language because what seeing those people, spew that language does is it allows you to establish, okay, there are people that don't think at all like I do. And there are people that don't apply critical thought to anything. And there are people that are just fucking idiots. And that's just kind of how life is. So what Reddit's solution is we don't allow people that and that's the left's. No offense, I'm not trying to get political here, but that's the left.
Yeah, but the only reason they're doing that is so that a government body doesn't go and burn the site down.
Right. The thing about a decentralized site is you can't burn it down. But then once you have that, with great power comes great responsibility. But then responsibility becomes corrupt if you have a moderation team. You can't have a moderation team because on Reddit right now there's like the Purge or some shit. And there's like a group of 25 moderators that are going through and just slicing off, hateful subreddits. And then subreddits that aren't hateful, you get too sensitive. And you get too...
Right, that's like a fundamental thing that you need to figure out.
Knowledge is the
answer. At the very beginning, how you stop the site, the entire idea from somehow getting destroyed.
Yeah.
By someone looking outside, looking in, that doesn't understand what you're trying to do, which is actually very helpful.
Yeah.
You're trying to make a system where people can discuss stuff and filter out the bullshit underneath them.
Right.
But someone from the outside looking in could go like, this site is full of hooker ads. We need to shut it down.
Well, there's not going to be ads. No ads.
Well, what I'm saying is people writing about like.
And what? Okay. Let's take hooker ads. Okay. We're going to go through that. Where are they posting? Where are they posting it?
They're just putting it in whatever knowledge base.
What knowledge base? Say concretely what knowledge base hooker ads belong in.
They create a sphere called I Like Sex. And they describe hookers in their community.
Okay.
That could be seen by an outside body as hooker ads.
Okay.
But the network has to be able to withstand someone trying to shut it down for that.
What's the volume of this I Like Hooker, or like let's just call it the sex subreddit, right? Let's just say it's analogous to the sex subreddit.
The problem is with people shutting things down, it could be a 2%. It could be nothing. But if they're on there, there's laws currently saying you can shut a site down for having any of that stuff on there that could lead to trafficking, even if it's not trafficking at all.
Is there really?
There is. That's why Backdoor, whatever's gotten the shit shut down out of them, and all the people created are getting thrown in jail. And look it up. And
what's Backdoor? Oh, that's where you find. That's where all the here's where you go to the massage parlors, right?
Right, exactly. And that sort of problem when you don't have moderation is what is what crops up. And then me and you are suddenly going to jail for talking about a decentralized system that turned into a prostitution site, human trafficking. That's why you just have to fundamentally figure out how can you basically take this idea, put it in the world, walk away from it, and let it live. And you're like, yes, we started this idea, but we have nothing to do with it, like blockchain. There's the problem.
Now, we'll have to research the law, but I think there's two different problems. There's the law, and there's the actual, are people going to get inundated with hooker ads? So
well, no, people won't, but an outside source that's trying to find hooker ads on your site will find them. And they'll go, this is so full of hooker ads. We need to do something about it. I can put this law into effect, take down every IP that is associated with this. The FBI can come and raid stuff. I mean, that's all I'm talking about is just generally, if there's a way to take it like Bitcoin, put this in the world, and then just go like, I have nothing to do with it anymore.
Well, yeah, there is, but at the same time, like we have the responsibility to kind of answer that question, regardless of the law.
Right, I'm just putting it forth. I'm not saying I have an answer to it, or I'm trying to post negativity about your idea.
Right.
I'm putting this out there because people are people.
Right. No, of course. I mean, people are gonna post terrible shit.
And if it takes a large amount of people to take something down or to discount someone's knowledge when it's a very controversial thing, then you're exposing a ton of people to this just in the ability to take it down.
See, you haven't presented when a thing where there's going to be a large body of people that see this kind of content, though. Like, I like hooker ads. Now, I'm sure this is the same thing Reddit said. Like, oh, we're not creating a system where people are going to talk about, wanting to see people die. Like,
right.
Alexis Ohanian did not think, when at the outset, maybe he'd like, maybe this might happen. But now we definitely know, like, there's people that want to see people die online.
Right, and it's like Facebook, who never thought in their life that Russian agents would take over their site, buy ads, and influence stuff, and now they're realizing they're very naive about how their system worked.
Well, Facebook is a completely different beast.
Of course it is, but they still were naive in how their system could be manipulated when they started as a college.
Rating the attractiveness of women is, by the way, how they started.
Hot or not, right?
Yeah. Which that just kind of goes to show you Mark Zuckerberg's ethics. But hey, I'm not
right.
I'm not hating. I'm not
neither here nor there on that. But all I'm saying is, part of this idea you're thinking of, and it's a great idea and it should exist, but you should think about the other side of it a little bit too.
Yeah, I do. And so I don't think about the legal side. I think about if you let it go and be off in the wild and let it grow organically, how do you set up a framework for that to occur where it doesn't descend into, let's look at people dying. Let's look at, hooker ads. And I think the answer, I really think the system is founded on the answer. It's knowledge filters. That's it. It's really the two words that I could say to you that is the answer.
I mean, if you legitimately give people the tools to not see that.
Yeah.
Kind of like giving people brakes on a car. If they don't use them and they kill themselves, you're not responsible. You gave them the brakes.
Exactly.
If you don't put the brakes in the car, you're negligent.
Exactly. And so
that's all I'm saying right now is this has to be something that they have the ability to not see something.
Okay, I've got the answer to that. The answer to that is, okay, you go post hooker ads on I like sex and fucking horrors subreddit, right? So there's going to be some small little dot of people that are going to do that. And I don't want to see that content. I'm not interested in that. So if we have the default filter levels, and remember, everybody can change their filter levels. So if you want to go watch people die and see, we're giving you the brakes. If you want to remove the brakes off your car, I don't know if that's illegal to do. That's irrelevant.
That's for you, though. It's not, Toyota won't get in trouble for that.
Exactly. It's against, Toyota, exactly. So Toyota's not going to get in trouble if I take the brakes off my Camry. So if we set the default filter level at, say, I don't know, you have to do like 3 standard deviations of knowledge to be able to, or no, you set the filter level at 3 standard deviations, or like 2 standard. I'd have to look at the normal curve and the distribution and the math behind that. But if you do some level of, okay, here's where it's going to be, like here's the initial filter, you can always remove the filter, but just keep in mind you're probably going to crash into a tree and die.
Right, and the thing is, just having this conversation right now, if you go back in time, shows that you're trying to be responsible already.
Absolutely.
This conversation at this point.
And obviously we don't know what we don't know. Like I really try, and that's why I love having these conversations, but I got to be honest with you, like I have these conversations in my head a lot faster than I do because I'm just blabbing, right? It's more like, how fast can you type? How fast can you think? Like, it's all of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I have these in my head constantly because I don't want to create something that's going to be like, oh, it's just going to turn into Gab.io or Steam it. Because Craigslist, it's a pile of shit. Like, we have such great technology. And the ironic answer is we have to go back to ancient wisdom to figure out how to make this work. And that's why
what irritates me is there's no personal responsibility anymore. Like, people blaming a site for people not being children,
right,
is really ridiculous. I mean, that's what I hate about things these days. Like, they always blame technology, never the people using it.
Exactly. It's like the technology's fault.
Yeah. Well, you've given them the ability to do it. Well, what's wrong with the people doing it? Life gave them the ability to be an asshole, but you're not blaming life.
Right.
There has to be personal responsibility. But anyway, that's not how the system works these days. You have to think about how to protect people from being children. Like a babe in the woods. You're not going to have a child walking into the woods unprepared.
See,
you have to give them something in the beginning that they then decide that I don't need this chainmail anymore. I can walk for free.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, they walk in with the chainmail.
Absolutely, and I think the problem with part of people's approaches is they want to say, "Oh, as you go out through life, you want to add more chainmail to protect them," rather than say, like, "No, really earlier on, you want to let them know, like, there's the real world out there, and there's no way we can protect you from it." But it's just kind of like how it has to be.
Right. I'm going to tell my 4-year-old right now not to touch the stove. When he's 14 and wants to cook something, I'm not going to tell him not to touch the stove.
Hey, don't touch the stove. It's hot. Like, it's insulting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So I think that answers the question, at least, of how to responsibly provide a filter and provide for a good conversation online, right?
You're going to put that in the presentation video. It's like you start out this level, so all of this other nonsense drops off unless you want to go find it.
Right. And I think it'd be cool to show that, like, as you change that filter, you can just show the content dropping off the screen.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're like happily typing, just like emote like the pleasure of like interacting with people in a more like passionate way, because you don't have to filter through like, did this person read the article that I read? Are we even going to talk about the article that I read, or is it going to descend into I hate Trump on Reddit? Because again, not supporting Trump. I voted for him, but I think he's an asshole. I voted for him because I wanted to throw a rock into the system and say, like, hey, this whole thing is fucking stupid.
Well, you threw a rock in the system.
Yeah, I did. And
I feel about
that. At least I'm honest.
Yeah. And I honestly can say that I don't agree with you.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that. I think, well, do we want to get into politics? Not really.
We don't want to get into politics because
the system is broken inherently. The fact that the country is so divided, and let me just,
yeah, but one side is very much wants to F up the future as hard as they can, and they're a minority. When one side just is not doing a very good job changing things and making things better, but isn't effing it up.
If that's true, okay, that's fair. If that's true, though, then 50% of the country and 50%, and you look at the numbers, and the fact that we still have a fucking electoral college is the stupidest.
Oh yeah,
that's not a problem.
Nonsense.
Right, it's not a problem of like us versus them, and that's what it becomes on the media. And I'm actually going to send you
the fact that gerrymandering is legal.
Right,
it's immoral is totally. It's wrong. It's wrong. In a state like, what is it? Pennsylvania. There was one state that's really blue, but has a shit ton of Republican state legislatures because of how they divided the country.
They just cut it all up, put all of the blue people and like make this little box that goes along, and then the red.
Like they have this, and then there's like a white community here, so let's put it into this little area.
Cool. I want you to listen.
Street or in a different area. Anyway, that's I can talk about that forever.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's definitely do that because it's important, and And well, first, okay, I voted Trump. Do you think I'm a racist?
I think you are ignorant.
You think I'm ignorant? Do you think I'm?
No, I don't think you're ignorant. I think you were ignorant when you did that.
Okay, no. Fair for you to have that opinion. Now, do you think I'm racist?
No.
Do you think I'm an asshole?
No.
Do you think I'm stupid? You call me ignorant. They're different things, though.
It's very different. No.
Okay, and that's what it's descended
I think
into.
you're causing a protest vote because you didn't like the establishment of how things worked and how they manipulated the Democratic Party to get.
Well, Bernie should have won the election.
Yeah, and he would have been president. And,
exactly.
And I agree with you completely. And I sat on phone banks for that man.
Well, good for you. See, then we got to go and we got to look at, okay, well, what, policies but you know what the problem is? You know what the problem is, Jake? Neither you nor I have an economics degree, yet we want to talk about this. So,
and you know what the other problem is? We both live in a very gerrymandered, well, whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Area. So our votes don't matter worth a shit. If I move to Plant City,
right,
my vote matters a shit ton.
Right. Absolutely.
Because there's like 5 people and it's worth like as much as Orlando.
Right.
So that's the difference.
You know what else?
If I want to influence politics, I'm going to move to the middle of nowhere that has a congressman where me and 10 people decide who's going to be in fucking Congress. And that's wrong.
Yeah, well, there's something to that. You know what else one of the problems is, Jake? The problem is we still have a fucking president in the first place. Like, this is such a silly idea. Like, hey, we're going to vote. We're all going to get together and bitch at each other for 4 years. And then at the end of it, we're going to say this guy or this girl is the one to do it.
The problem is the president was never supposed to be that it is today. Congress
Who said that? Ben Franklin.
So many powers. When it was George Washington, it was basically like when they disagreed, he had the veto vote.
Right.
And you can control the army. And that's fucking it.
Right.
Now you can make laws, name Supreme Court justices for the rest of their lives. And basically, since it's a rubber stamp in Congress right now in the Senate, if it's a Republican president, you can decide anything and they put it right through. It's fucking...
You know what the answer is?
The other thing is right now, and I got to bring this point up on video.
Yeah. Bring it up, Jake. Bring it up. Let it all out, man.
The Supreme Court shouldn't matter as much as it does because the reason it matters so much is they make laws right now because Congress can't get off their fucking ass and pass laws. So it has to be decided at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court shouldn't matter as much as it does. That's my point.
You're 100% right. I've actually got we can express the problem. I have the solution for it in this recording. And essentially it boils down to we're measuring things in an analog sense when they should be digital, and we're measuring things in a digital sense that should be analog. So basically what I'm trying to demonstrate here is you called me ignorant. I disagree with you. I know why you're calling me ignorant, though. It's like you voted for Trump. Like, clearly he's a
I don't think you fully thought about the outcome.
Well, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure anybody can fully think about any outcome. But I thought about it a lot. I wanted to throw the rock in. The rock's thrown. I did what I wanted to do. I was kind of like a vandal little kid saying, "Hey, the fucking city's corrupt. Let's throw rocks at shit to protest."
That's why I'm calling you ignorant in that moment.
You know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. Honestly, if you want to call me ignorant, there. The problem is though, talking about like which politician should be elected is akin to saying there's no point. Like, the system is ossified, and Supreme Court, the gerrymandering, and then the other problem is,
in all honesty, if I wouldn't say you were as ignorant as you might have been if Senate and the Congress wasn't on the same party level.
Yeah.
Putting the same president in, you basically opened up the gates for anything they wanted to do.
Sure.
You would have put Hillary Clinton, and at least there was one place where there was a checks and balances.
Which,
even if it was corrupted to it.
Which is a very, very, I agree with you. Like, if you want to have some kind of check and balance, like you go red, red, blue. But it's like, we might as well be playing Connect Four. This is fucking stupid. This is our government. This is our country. This was founded on really awesome, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those have been lost to some fucking capitalistic, monolithic. You get paid to be in government 40 times what you actually get paid because of lobbying and all this shit.
Right. No one leaves Congress poor.
Exactly. That's the Greeks. The Greeks already knew that. Like, ancient civilizations already fucking knew that, and we're just like, oh, we need to elect red versus blue. What the fuck? Like, the conversation has actually devolved into this. oh no, this candidate over that candidate. But you're right. Like if you put in a blue candidate, you have red, red, blue, and then at least like nothing happens rather than see. And I don't agree with this shit that's happening where if it's actually true, which I don't even know if I can trust the media anymore. It's even true that, you know, these kids are being detained, which I'm sure there are some people that are here that are breaking the law, that are here illegally. If they're being detained, I think that's fucking terrible. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But if they're breaking the law, then we need to change the law rather than bitch and complain.
Exactly. We need a Congress that's working so we can change the law.
Right. And they're all red. Right.
Our population is declining. I don't give a shit if there's a ton of people coming in if I've got room for them, and we do.
Right. Right. And anyway, the answer here is not government. The answer here is not government. It lies in the technology that we're going to start creating. And it's going to be a fair – and that's why the original system I wanted to do is like, okay, you take somebody in from Mexico or Syria, you know, because these people are fleeing their country because they're getting blown up. And then the media is saying, oh, you know, they're these evil people and shit like that. But of course the media is going to say that. But then you know what else the media is doing, Jake, is they're saying that, oh, you can't express the fear that's been instilled in you by the media because then you're a racist. And then it's like, we can't even have the fucking conversation. Like, I'm scared because you're telling me that these people are blowing each other up. But then that's not really happening. Like, you meet somebody from there and they're great people. You go there and I don't know. I've never been there. But nobody else fucking has either.
And the struggle to get here is so much that I don't even want to fucking fly to Atlanta if I didn't have to.
Right.
So I'm going to go to a place that no one likes me. No one knows who I am. I have nothing. For what? The only reason I'd go is if I'm going to die if I don't.
Right. Or to protect your family.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go because I want an extended vacation or I saw, This Is Us and really thought the American life is wonderful. That's not why I'm coming here in droves. I'm coming here in droves because Russia and America and China are having a war in my country.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the deal. If you say everybody that votes that we should be in war needs to apply for the draft, nobody's going to fucking vote for war. Nobody. Yeah. But because the governments make a shitload of money from war, like just look at the boom that happened after the...
but we haven't been in war. We have not had a declaration of war since Vietnam.
Declaration of war, whatever.
Exactly. We go to war now without any knowledge of what's going on. We're fighting in Africa right now. No one fucking knows.
I don't know. Yeah, but then if
you're in the military, you're going to get instructions like, "Oh, you're going to Sudan." Really? Why? Well, because we're fighting a war there.
Yeah, shut up and go to your job. That's the point of the military. It's like, anyway. But here's my point. You call me ignorant, but we agree on all these things. And now I get what you're saying. Like, it was that an ignorant thing to do? I don't know if ignorant's the right word. Ignorant of the consequences.
Well, it was ignorant in the outcome that was going to happen from your vote because you thought you were trying to throw a rock in the system when, in fact, all you did was give these people that are raping our country wide open rubber stamp to do whatever they want.
Maybe, but, if
Congress was blue and the Senate was red and you voted for Trump to throw a rock in there, I would say you would be less ignorant than me.
Less ignorant. Okay, so I guess man, I'll agree with you. But my point is, what I'm doing, I see it working because I see this conversation emerging now. Like Kanye. I mean, and I'll use Kanye. It's like, hey, I'm gonna the system is fucked. The whole system is fucked.
Right.
And we need to get together as a country to fix it. Like, voting for Trump does not directly get you there. I'm not trying to make a logical step. But if Hillary would have gotten elected, it would have been more of the same, bullshit and corruption. And there's corruption still.
I guess as someone who's older right now, what I'm worried about is the fact that the things that are rubber stamping the next 4 years, we have to deal with for the next 15.
Well, can you give me one example?
The tax rollbacks. They can't put those into effect anymore. We're now borrowing over $1 trillion more than we did last year. Our economy's not growing. So the only thing that's going to happen is Medicare and Social Security is going to go away because they have to pay for these tax cuts because they can't put the tax back in because nothing can happen with the taxes now based on the law till 2025.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to lose so much fucking money that they're finally going to go, we have to cut these services. We have to end public education, which they want to do to begin with, to filter this into private corporations that they own. So we're dealing with that now until 2025 at least. Yeah.
My hands up. Can you call me, Doc?
Yeah, what's up?
All right. Is solution, Jake?
Hmm.
In like Superman and Batman and all the superhero myths and all the Norse mythology, the hero always rises up at the darkest point in time.
Yeah.
Hero's born at the darkest point in time. The hero here is our ideas and blockchain. Like public education,
Yeah.
Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. We can create new ways of having those programs. We don't need the government for those programs.
Right. We
We
don't.
just need to be able to come together as a country and say like, hey, if I don't care who you voted for, if we're nice to each other, think about this fucking conversation. Like, could you go anywhere on the internet and have that conversation, that exchange that we just had? Like, actually, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you think you're ignorant and, or is it going to be like, oh, fuck you, you piece of shit, blue little piece of fucking fuck.
Yeah.
You.
No, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I just wish I wish I believed that people could find fair solutions for things and use their brain instead of this weird mentality where they have to win.
Yep.
Even if it's totally wrong. Even if they realize in their mind, I'm such an asshole, this is wrong, but I gotta win, goddammit. Which is what's wrong with Congress, because they're all lawyers. 90% of Congress are lawyers. You can look that up.
Yeah.
And they're trained from the very beginning of their education to win an argument. Even if it's wrong, even if they don't believe it, even if your man is guilty, you got to get him off because that's your job.
Right.
So that's why it's so fucked up, because no one, it's almost like turned into football. The Raiders versus the 49ers. I want the fucking Raiders to win because they're my team.
Yeah. That's what it's devolved into.
I'm not putting it into anything. Like, my kid right now could have leukemia. I'm a working coal miner. He needs Medicare, but our state doesn't offer it. But I'm going to fucking vote for Trump because I can't stand that liberal down at the YMCA telling me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
What's wrong with people?
Yeah. Well, I think everybody, no more blanket statements.
Yeah. That just heats me up.
That's
People
why
interest.
That's why I'm starting that Techno Junto Club.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing that, because we need to start pursuing good faith pursuits of what's true and reasonable rather than what I think.
Right.
Like,
and I'll tell you right now, I've got some thoughts that are just based on my own, how I was raised and my prejudices and what I think is right and wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm right about it.
But if we can discuss it in an open forum, especially backed by facts. Did you get to the first meeting? You were at the first one, right?
No.
No, I don't think you are. So you haven't been either one. Now, you haven't missed much because I'm really just trying to like describe this idea to people in terms of the system that we're creating. By the way, we need to get back on track and get something where we can start recording. But that's why I want to have those conversations. We need to come together and figure out those things. Like we need on a larger scale, we need people to realize, like, you and I voted for a different person. You think I'm ignorant. I agree with you that your description of that little subset of me was ignorant of the blue, but in that sense, it wasn't a calculated risk. It was more of an ignorance. I knew it was a risk, but it wasn't as calculated as it should have been. I should have taken into an account, like, okay, if we've got all reds in here, then, but again, that's like, the problem.
That's not how it should be anyway.
Exactly. It shouldn't be red, red, red. It should be like, no, the government should really check.
Which I understand.
Right. But the thing is money is corruptible. The things that aren't corruptible are discipline and knowledge, and there's a few uncorruptible virtues. And things need to be based on that. And I think initially they the founding fathers may have tried to do that, but somehow they failed. And so we need to figure out where they failed and reestablish virtue into the common discourse and to what's valuable. And that's my system after this. After we get knowledge working and after we demonstrate that knowledge is valuable and reestablish public education, like all this education is going to be free. And if you take this, you're going to get paid to learn. Like you can take your kid and say, hey, like, let's learn algebra together. He's 4. Let's learn counting together. Let's learn colors. And they'll have some kind of investment in their future. It'll be tiny because like everybody kind of needs to know certain things. But then as he specializes and becomes more passionate about Batman or Superman or whatever he's interested in, he'll be paid for that. And then you take that whole system and it's academic as well. It's academic as well as trivia based things. And so he'll get paid to learn, and then he'll get paid to specialize, and then he can go off into the world and do whatever he wants, and have a suit of armor of knowledge protecting him from all the bullshit that's out there.
Right.
And then more people will do that because they'll be the kids will get paid, and the parents will get paid for teaching, and it's a fucking good thing to happen, and it needs to happen now.
Yep.
And we need to do it in the most responsible way possible. It's really, the way I look at this from a really, 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 really conceited and arrogant viewpoint is it's kind of the formation of the Declaration of Independence of the internet from the rest of the bullshit of the world. Like it's what the internet needed that everybody thought would be possible. And so you have LinkedIn, you have Udacity, and you have Treehouse, and you have all these things, but we still have these walls that aren't necessary. Nothing against any of those systems. It's how it has to be right now. But the more creative solution is the one that enables the freer flow of information.
Well, the only reason you have someone teaching your kid at school anyway is because you didn't have the tools to do it or the time to do it yourself. But in the future, that's going to be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tools are available. You just need an avenue of shared knowledge directing you to how you want to teach somebody.
Exactly. And so you take the let's take a lesson in learning how to program iOS, and you take 10 of those and you abstract out the lesson plan and the blueprint. They're going to look really the same, and that forms a textbook. And so we make those textbooks open source, and verifiably, you can edit them and change them, and you can see how effective they were. And then you can have people put together lesson plans.
Yep.
Creative writers such as yourself, that I can come and actually give the lesson if I know how to do it. I don't have to put any work to writing the lesson plan. I'm just the programmer guy. And I say, hey, here's how you do this. Here's my unique spin. And we have infinitely many lesson plans that are effective, that are taught by different people with different accents, with different cultures. You have it translated to all languages. It's like, the Tower of Babel?
Yeah.
We're cutting down the Tower of Babel. And you know what? Maybe that's a good thing, and maybe it's not. I can't think of why that's a bad thing, like uniting people.
It's not. The more you know somebody, the less likely you are to discriminate against them or have preconceived notions of who they are.
Exactly. The media won't let you know that because they want you to be scared of the people that are outside your country, so you're easily swayable.
So you go on there and buy the ads for the thing they're trying to sell you.
Exactly. I want you to listen to that OtterNote if you have time. It's When the Left Goes Too Far. And and then I've got another one that I want to send you that's an hour and a half. That's way too long, but I would really, really love if you can listen to it. But I have to edit it down. Just a couple things that got in there that, just a couple personal things.
Edit it out.
Yeah, but it's the same.
I have a podcast I need to send you too.
Yeah. See, go ahead.
It's cool. It's called The Sculptor's Funeral. It's about artists in history. And this one's very fascinating because it's a guy reading from a really sophisticated sculptor, but he was not known much. And he didn't come from a school of education. He just came from the grassroots. And the guy reads excerpts out of his journal in his voice, and it's amazing.
Wow.
Because it's from 200 years ago, and it's like he had the same problems with getting knowledge as he did.
Yeah.
He was totally a maverick going on his own. He tried to get knowledge from these schools, but he wasn't allowed in, so he did his own thing.
Right.
And his life could be a movie. It could be anyone's life on the streets today.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, and it's only like, I think, 45 minutes. I think you'd get hooked if you started listening to it.
Send that to me, and I want another thing I want to start doing is I want to start establishing these knowledge banks around these creators and these podcasts and stuff. And I'd love to, if you could help me come up with like prototypical ways of doing that, like a Google Sheet, or I don't know if there's like an online quiz creation thing where we can create quiz banks and link to the primary evidence here. But I would love to listen. And I want to start having stuff to show for what we've listened to together.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's an important thing. And there's one thing that blew my mind. It's a podcast from a guy from NPR where he went out to find the history of racism. And it is absolutely like, I learned things I had no idea about.
Wow.
That is factual and actually in history. And I've only listened to half of it because it's like a 10-week series, because it got too intense for me.
Wow.
And I need to send this to you because that changed my mind about a lot of things, and that's the first time that's happened in a long time.
What was the Give me just like
I
30.
have
Let's
it
spend 30
somewhere.
seconds more on this, and then let's get back so we can actually get some animations started. What was the one thing that impacted you the most from that you can recall offhand?
That the idea of race was created not that long ago, and before that, the world didn't have any sort of understanding of race, and it didn't exist. It was
Mhm.
created in a way to justify. It was created without any scientific base, no knowledge of any sort, and it wasn't created that long ago. And I can't really explain that unless you listen to it, but historically, it didn't exist until recently, and that absolutely blew my mind.
Let me send you one thing real quick. Hold on.
Like I thought the idea of race was around since the beginning of time, but it wasn't. And there was no reason it exists.
Hold on one second. How's this do for summing that up?
Yep, that's really good.
Yeah, we love. Have you heard that music video? Have you heard that song?
No.
Oh shit! You need to listen to that. I'll send you the link. Here we go. Sculptor's Funeral. Okay, cool. I'm gonna check that out. Is it open?
With all due respect, down.
Well, hold on. Yeah, let's listen to that offline. And I'm gonna edit that longer one. And I'd love if you could listen to the one I sent at 12:05. It's when the left goes too far. I'd like your honest feedback on that. And
Okay.
essentially, it all comes back to the same point. We still have tyrannical dictators and terrible things that happen, but it's hard to define when the left goes too far. We know when the right goes too far, you get you get concentration camps and you have crazy shit like that. And you have just tyrannical dictators, but it's hard to define because the left is the side that's compassionate, that says, hey, we really need to start supporting the people that are disenfranchised. And
Yeah, but
people,
who defines who that is?
right. Anyway, listen to the thing and we'll chat about that.
As far as the animation goes,
Yes.
I think at this point, let's focus on writing out how the system works for leveling,
Okay.
and I can make an animation out of that and see what turns out.
Cool. Okay, so for leveling, bold, and if you could hop in here and kind of let me know if I'm typing it, because I want to type because I feel like I'm a fast typer, but if you type faster, then take over.
I
What-
don't at all.
Okay, so what do you mean for leveling?
Like what we were talking about, like a level 10 can talk to level 9s or 8s, or how that even works, that whole system.
Cool. Okay, so
Brings that and start from there.
so bullet points. How does what does leveling mean?
I think
First
it's the most solid idea we have, and then we can go back and do why you're trying to do this.
cool. Can you move your pink thing out of my way? Okay, and you can still hear me. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what does leveling mean? Leveling is, and correct me if this don't make sense, is the process by which one demonstrates a gradually increasing level of knowledge within a particular topic or set of topics through answering questions from a question bank.
Right, and then is it community decided of your knowledge? Or
Yeah, so the community
established by the community. Yep.
submits questions along with their answers, their potential. Well, how do I say that? Like, there's incorrect answers and correct answers. Questions. The
And answers based on their
answer along with primary evidence for
Of knowledge.
proof of that answer, and along with incorrect answers to properly facilitate the question process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think for what we're doing now, that makes sense. I'll draw it down to something we can animate.
Yeah, of course. So basically, we'll call this Oh, fuck. We'll call this 1, not A. Stop. And then I can't put that back anymore. So 1 is going to be the really complicated. 2 is going to be the more drummed down. So users demonstrate knowledge and level by answering community submitted
Question.
moderated questions.
And
Okay.
these levels give you the ability to interact or post discussions with people at your level of knowledge.
So Q, what do the levels do?
Right.
The levels, this is going to be 2 because it's going to be really simple or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
The levels, say again how you described it.
The levels allow you to interact with people and have discussions at or near your level of knowledge on the topic. Something like that.
Stop it. I really do not.
Filtering out people who may not have.
Well, hold on. Let's do that a separate one. Like, what do the levels do? So the levels allow you to interact with people and have discussions at or near your level of knowledge on a given topic. So,
So why would you do that?
why would you do that? I'm going to get rid of, can I just delete this 1 and just do all ones?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay. 1. Okay. Why would you want to do that? Online, everyone has an opinion.
This
It's
separates
hard.
people.
To determine if people have actually consumed the conversation, the content that you are attempting to have a conversation about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it helps filter out people who might not be ready to have the same level of conversation that you wish to have.
Oh, cool. It helps filter out people that aren't, that
Who may not be.
may not be,
Ready.
you say ready? Can we use a better word? Ready.
Yeah, 'cause I don't want to say have the ability because everyone has the ability to have a high level of conversation.
Right. That may not be ready to have.
The same level of conversation that you wish to have on a topic. And I can think more about how to phrase that because I think have ready to have the same level entails that they can do the background to get to that level
Yeah.
instead of having the ability because then you're implying they can never get there.
Right. It helps filter out. Okay, online, everyone has an opinion. It's hard to determine if people have actually consumed the content that you're attempting to have a conversation about. It helps filter out people that may not be ready to have the same level of conversation. It also, should we say the thing about the communicating with people like Sam Harris?
Yeah, this allows you to communicate with people.
This provides an increased opportunity to have discussions with topics that happen. You can rephrase this to have consciousness. You see what I mean there? Like,
yeah, I think increased opportunity to have discussions with people who happen to be experts on topics that you normally would not have access to.
is Sam Harris an expert on Sam Harris? That's what I'm trying to get at here.
On neurology.
Right, but like I'm talking about this. There's a Sam Harris subreddit.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Oh, you think that's weird?
I think it's weird having a subreddit that discusses one person instead of a topic, but that's neither here nor there.
But a person is a topic.
I know, but it's like a fanboy site. It's weird.
Partly, yeah. But you also get together like-minded people.
Well, okay, so creates the opportunity to have discussions with experts that with experts you normally wouldn't have access to. Because that's a good driving force.
This provides an increased opportunity to have
A
discussion.
direct conversation with experts you might normally have access to.
To have discussions with, say that, direct.
Direct discussions.
To have direct discussions with experts that would otherwise be inundated with what do you say here? Useless content, noisy content.
Experts you wouldn't normally have access to due to the level of noise or
that you wouldn't
or unqualified or unqualified level of noise. I don't know. It's tough.
This provides an increased opportunity to have direct discussions with experts that you wouldn't have access to otherwise due to how many people are making noise around them. No.
Yeah. That's good to leave in there, but I think we need to think about it further.
Yeah. Offensive, but the fact of the matter is that there is so much noise online and not enough signal to facilitate quality conversations with experts in areas. Okay, just added a little comment there. Okay.
Well, it could be provides the opportunity to have direct access to experts you don't have access to due to because there's limited number of people that get into the sphere with them. You know what? For the process of the commercial, it could just be the prompt. It should be otherwise. You could end it with otherwise. You don't have to tell them why. People should understand why that is.
I think this is where you could do like a quick, waiting in line to have your book signed kind of thing. It would communicate the idea. You take all the people. You take so you start with the expert. Have like an Einstein, a cute little animated Einstein. Here, I'm just gonna.
You get a whole line of people, and then those people just kind of fade away, and then you're up at the front.
Right. So I'm gonna start dictating here. I think. Can I dictate while I'm doing the meeting? Fuck. Oh, there we go. Test. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna talk, and then is this working? Is it still working? I think it stopped working. Hold on one second. Okay, so I'm gonna transcribe this. That works. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do is have like an Einstein figure in the middle, and it's gonna be on a computer screen, and then it's not still working. It's annoying. Oh, it is. Okay. So the Einstein figure in the computer screen in the middle. And so he's going to be like, typing away, doing his research. And then you're going to have people gradually, pop up around him in terms of like a thought bubble to represent this ephemeral, like technological space. And then as you do that, then have more and more people pop up more and more quickly to the point where Einstein was communicating with those people, but now he can't because there's too many people. And then just he'll get crowded out, and then he won't be able to, have the conversations. You can represent the conversations with little thought bubbles going on between, like an iMessage representation. You follow me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. And then let me stop to make sure this is working. Anyway, it's not so important. I'm going to record this on Otter just so we can.
Yeah. It's not that important at this point. I understand the idea.
Sorry. Okay, so Otter's going to do the transcription now and not this other thing. So we've got Einstein. He's doing his research, and then gradually, slowly, as technology is older and you're writing letters. Oh, you can even have it as he's writing letters to people because the technology really does affect the communication, ironically. So he's writing letters, and then they're sending mail, like physically sending mail to the different people. 3 or 4 people are on the screen. And then you can have, like, as the technology increases, I don't know, show that somehow. And then eventually get the more people that pop up. They look a little bit more modern, and somehow you can represent that. And then the more people that pop up, he's having these conversations still, or he's trying, but more and more people are popping up. There's more and more like little chimes and dings, and eventually Einstein either can't do his research or he can't communicate with his most passionate fans and people. And you can almost try and represent like, oh my God, I love you. You're such a inspiration. You can maybe like do it first, have like equations getting sent back and forth. And then it's like, it devolves into just the fanboyism, right? It's nice. And it's a consequence of having good ideas, but it's not the important conversations that need to be had. And so then you get to, boom, 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 boom. And then you can still have some people sending equations as text messages to represent like useful. I say useful, that's very opinionated, disclaimer there. You have useful conversations that are going over text. And then we could say, okay, with our system, Einstein can turn up the filter to the people that are most passionate about his work. And then you can have like the equations in the text messages, like E equals MC squared, and just find some like quantum mechanics and just fancy looking shit that he did. Just literally look on the Wikipedia page and copy and paste those symbols. And then it facilitates more conversation. And then I've got to show you this.
We don't have to be even as apparent as that. We could come up with a symbol that's like, you could do like love back and forth, kind of like symbolism. Do everything with symbols and have like idea, like light bulbs going back and forth for the important stuff.
Absolutely.
We don't
So
have
by
to
the way,
that.
Look at this image.
Yeah.
So if this image isn't fascinating, I don't know what it is. I don't really know what it means, but it's like this symbol, and like people think it has something to do with quantum physics. And this kind of represents, if you look in the center, like the circle in the center, like that's the center of the body of knowledge. And then outward, you get all these different connections that can happen. Like that's almost like a representation of an ideal knowledge graph, or like an ideal communication channel. But I know that's getting a little crazy. Anyway, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes total sense. I think that's a good way to go.
Cool.
Let's start off with that then.
Cool. So, and then, what that doesn't do, the weaknesses of that though, is I'm going to stop the recording, and that doesn't show how to establish those bodies of knowledge. Do you think that's important, or should we go ahead and just
start off with this, and then that'll be another section?
Cool.
Let's just get something done.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So do that. And then, so tell me what you're going to do so we're on the same page.
I'm probably going to start off with the person working at their desk, getting mail, writing back letters, and then that transitions to a computer on his desk. It transitions it. A lot of people starting to go in there, and then you see the computer, he's on Twitter or something that looks like a social media page.
Yep.
And all this stuff starts popping in, and then the idea bubbles that are going in start kind of like floating around, and eventually he puts up a block and everything gets stopped.
Yeah.
And then
he goes back to his research.
Yeah, even the idea bubbles and stuff. And then basically we start opening up windows in the blocks where the idea bubbles start coming in and all the other stuff drops away.
And the idea bubbles have like complicated,
responding to one or two things, like, and doing his research like it was in the very beginning.
And those blocks that come in, those pieces of thought bubbles that come in are going to have like complicated equations on them and like represent. It's not just, oh my God, I love you, you're amazing.
I was thinking that the bubbles that are important or established in the beginning are little light bulbs coming in.
Oh, cool. And then what are the other bubbles? What are the noisy bubbles?
Hearts, exclamation points.
You're just going to use emojis.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, Jake, that's brilliant.
Yeah, because you don't have to go into detail, because then people will be like, well, what's all that about? Why is it the symbol for acid? I don't understand what's going on. Fuck that. It's going to be emojis and shit, and then knowledge bubbles are going to be silvery important stuff coming in. And then
that's so
going to block everything. And then he's going to open up and just let those important bubbles back in. And all the other stuff will drop away.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. I like that a lot. Okay. So we're going to do that. And so essentially what we're going to do is establish the problem. Can you make it Einstein? Could you make it like a little cute Einstein?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. I would
Einstein-y looking guy.
Einstein-y looking guy with the hair and shit.
Yeah, the hair.
This is so cool. Okay. I'm what
And in the beginning, he's doing research, and then there's going to be mail drop in his inbox. He's going to open it up, and he's going to write something thoughtful back, and it's going to go off. And then the computer will come in, and he'll start working on a computer. Then you'll show him on Twitter, and all the shit will start coming in, and he's going to be like, ah! And he's going to toss his computer away and go back to researching. And then we'll somehow show that he brings it back, and he's like, okay, and he dials his filter, and things drop off, and only the knowledge stuff starts coming into him again.
And then after the animation, we'll do the voiceover because I feel like you've got that idea nailed down so perfectly that we'll take.
Voice over to it.
What's that?
We'll voice over to it.
Yeah. Hey, we'll be able to do that, and we'll do like little voice acting Rick and Morty shit, and then in the next meeting. How long?
There's too much. There's too much. It's too much. I'm just gonna go offline, not talk to anybody.
Oh, this
So
is
you come back like, oh well, I can just talk to the people I want to. Something like that.
that's cool. Okay. And so, what's your time frame for that? Is that I have no sense of how long that will take you.
Well, with the design and everything, and the fact I can't work on it 24 hours a day, it'll take a couple weeks.
Take a couple weeks. Okay.
I would say, what's the date today?
21st.
October 16th week.
Okay. All right. Well, is there any way I can pay you more to get it done faster?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I might get it done faster. I'm just giving you a realistic time frame.
Sure.
I'm like Scotty on the Enterprise. It's going to take forever, Captain. Nope, I got it.
All right. Well, let's we'll get a status update. I'm sure we'll do another one of these. Is there a way to send me like chunks of progress, or is it like it's not?
Yeah,
done?
no, I can send you this. I'm going to design the stills for each section before I animate it.
Is that how you do it?
That's the easiest way to do it.
That's fucking sick.
So in Illustrator, if you've got 4 panels, I'll start off with each panel, and then I'll animate those collect. Like I'll start off with the guy, his desk set up in Illustrator, and then like send that to you, and then I'll animate that section.
Okay. All right, cool. Now, can I give feedback, or is it like shut the fuck up and let me do what I'm?
No, feedback's great.
Okay, cool. So if it gets to a point where we want to you want to talk more money, like let's do that, because I don't want to. I feel like we're all going to make money off of this eventually, but of course I'm going to tell you that if I want you to work on this. So I want it to be fair though. I also don't want to pay you like $15,000. You know, there's some like in between.
You paid me $3,000. No, I'm kidding. That's too much. But no, it's whatever.
Okay, well let's no, it's not whatever. I mean, if I want you to enjoy what you're doing with this.
We can talk about it offline.
Okay, all right. I just want to put it out there. I want it to be fair and all that shit about that. So
yeah, I have a pretty good idea right now about how to do this.
Okay, awesome, man. All right, well, okay, we've got what we need. I'm actually going to probably move that animation. That has the only thing that's animation here is that transcript and the Einstein thing. So I'm going to take everything else.
Yeah, let's just start off with that, and then that'll be the chunk in the middle of the commercial, and then we can go to the front and the back.
Or. Yeah, so actually, that's the last thing let's talk about.
Well, you can take that chunk and put it online now, but then when you're forming the full commercial, that'll be an independent chunk. So now we have an independent chunk, and we'll do other independent chunks, and then we'll cut together a commercial with all of it in there that's shorter.
Okay. And then that'll be kind of like if we do the Kickstarter or the some crowdfunding platform. Then that longer. So what else do I need to think about? While we're here, what else do I need to think about?
We need to think about the next step after this is doing the why. Why are you trying to make this happen?
Is why. And
do you have a good idea of the leveling and how it's supposed to work? Like how the idea. We're at the why does it matter for you section.
We're at the why right now, or the why is the next thing?
Not why you're doing it, but the why it matters to you. And the benefit is you get people filtered out of your conversation.
Right.
So that's where we're at now. But
allowing for the maximal like free speech and free flow of information. Yeah.
Because I think it's awesome if I could go in and I know that the people I'm talking to have a base knowledge of what I'm trying to discuss. So I can't go like, oh, well, I've got to think about this guy's opinion. But then I realize, no, he's never done this before. So I don't really have to think about his opinion.
Right. So the next step is why. Can you say that next step is
Why does this need to happen? Well, we're showing that already, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It needs to happen because otherwise Einstein's just going to throw his computer, and then that means decreased
yeah,
information.
I tell you what, let's get this done and we can base the rest of it off this idea. Maybe we can just add to it.
Okay. I think the process for how this will work, the how is, I think, the next step.
Yeah.
The next step is the how. So I'm going to work on
Yeah, how do you
describing
prove knowledge? That's right.
and it goes to leveling.
Yeah.
And then is there anything after that, or is that all the animated content that you would recommend we have?
No, I think we'll need more, but I don't think we need to get into the weeds on it right now.
Okay, cool. Then I'll try and describe the how, and obviously we've got a time window here. We'll talk offline and figure out everything else. But dude, this was fucking awesome. I really, really like that idea.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
Okay, cool, awesome. All right, Jake. Anything else? Any closing words to end the recording?
No closing words, except that I got to figure out why my air conditioning's not working in my outside office.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Sweaty butts do not go towards productive times.
There's a vent here. I'm not feeling anything coming through it, so maybe I got the.
That's terrible.
Close the door, so the outside office might be a lot warmer than the inside house. That's the problem.
Maybe. I really appreciate the middle there, the little middle, the middle of the Oreo we had there in the politics and shit too. It just shows that you can have a friendly conversation about things that you completely disagree about, and that's.
Well, you gotta understand. I'm not calling you ignorant. I'm calling you ignorant in that situation.
I have no problem with that.
Why? I mean, it's not a base like. I think you're ignorant, so everything you do is bullshit. Not at all. I just think you didn't think hard enough about what you did.
There you go.
That's a strong opinion.
And you know what? Fair enough. Because, again, it goes back to that calculated decision and whatnot, but calculated risk. But, hey, we're having this conversation now. I feel like we're turning the ship back around the right way, and that's what we need to do. We just need to come together. What's that?
Sorry, I was playing something accidentally.
Oh, no. Hey, we're coming together. I think you have to break things down into tiny pieces and to build them back up. I really do feel like I'm starting to feel it, that we're really building this building a technological foundation upon which we can come together, and that doesn't exist yet. So I really appreciate your help. This is more than exciting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool, and I think just the basic idea that you can have a conversation with people that have the ability to be on the level that you want to be at that particular conversation. You can have an idea like, I want to just go talk to anybody about it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have such a technical idea. It's like, I just want to talk to people who already have that baggage and knowledge coming into it, so we don't have to go back and regress.
Yeah. Absolutely. One last thing here on in terms of filtering. So we'll have all these profiles that have established knowledge bases on them. And so if you like Dungeons and Dragons and Rick and Morty and anime, then what we can do is we can actually see like, okay, not just the stuff that you interact and make noise about, but like we actually can show like, oh no, like Jake actually knows about these things. And then Alice comes in and she's like, I really like these things. And then so we have the filters for the system, and they're all in a marketplace. And so you can have people's predetermined filters set up to see like, oh, this person enjoys consuming this content. Maybe I'll like enjoy consuming that content, so I can check out their feed and then adopt it in some almost like meta Reddit.
And you could probably have people that say like, I want to learn more about this. This person's an expert on it. I'm going to request they make something about that, and then they're going to get extra points for doing it.
They're going to get extra points. The person that everybody can say like, yeah, I'll consume that. And then it would be like a library book. Like you take out a library book, and if it's not back in 3 weeks, you get a penalty. If you say that you're going to take out a library book, consume content that isn't created yet by an expert, and they make it, you'll get penalized.
Right.
So, and you know, penalized or you have some like exponential back off until you can recommend anything else.
Right. You basically like, as an expert, I can go in and go like, no, this person's put a ton of ideas out and hasn't consumed it, and no one's looked at it, so I'm not going to listen to their ideas.
Bingo. But if I'm like, hey, Sam Harris, if you could maybe write an essay on why you think blah, 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 and God's not real, or, you know, whatever. And then he's like, okay, cool. This person has some kind of expertise. They're interested in my work, and they've shown that their track record is they'll consume my content. Then I'll make it. There's no paywalls. The pay comes from like the exponentially increased connection of people, and all that's going to happen. And it's It's not
And,
hard
and
to.
that person might have a level of followers underneath them. So if they're level 10, they might have a ton of level 6s following them. They're recommending an article you write. You know
Right.
that all those people are going to follow them because that's their guru and you're their guru.
Exactly. So let's be clear
Nice.
here. This is going to be a combination of Reddit, Twitter, LinkedIn, Udacity, Treehouse, Wikipedia, YouTube. Well, the videos will come in from YouTube or wherever, and it's going to be an aggregating of all that. It's not going to be like the content's all hosted here. It doesn't need to be. It could be a Chrome plugin.
Right.
And everything's going to be free, and everything's going to be open. And then we'll add in some like blockchain stuff there later down the road.
Yeah, create a Bitcoin currency that everyone wants to use based on knowledge.
Yeah. So I guess minds.com is another one. Anything else that we're throwing into this little chunk of there's 8 wonders of the world, so I guess it's appropriate we combine 8.
I thought there was more now.
There probably are.
Didn't they? They had like a anyway, that's
they were forgetting a couple. Okay, so any other sites though that we're combining just for like
no, we got it all. We got it all.
Oh my God. Last thing, I applied to this company like 2 years ago and they just looked at my application. That's funny.
Yeah, because the job market's getting rough.
Yeah. It'll also be a new way of working. It'll be digital archaeology. It'll be a live digital archaeology of knowledge bases.
Yep.
There's so many fucking cool things that come from this, man, and I'm really excited to work on it with you. One thing I need you to think about is how to prove competency in a creative fashion. Because right now I've just got text, video, and sound in terms of podcasts and writing, and so you can hear the facts about creative people, but that doesn't really help you prove creativity itself. So I think starting off, we'll just do the text and stuff and keep it very simple. But we want to be able to say, like, if Michelangelo is alive, how would you? Michelangelo has expertise in what exactly, and how do we prove that?
Go on a site called ArtStation.
ArtStation. Okay.
They do a very good job of rating people on that, and they have a front page that people vote on. And if you hit the front page in trending,
Holy shit!
Big crap for that week. And that's all by likes and upvoting on people. Like anyone can put anything in, and if it starts trending, it goes on the front page, and they're big shit.
And then is there a problem here with like there's so much content that some of the really good stuff gets missed?
No, because eventually the more content you put up that's really good, you're found, and then sometimes an older piece can go on the front page.
Cool.
You might not be found if you only have one piece that's awesome, but usually there's people that present one piece that just blow the doors off that suddenly become very popular because you can go in to see a large page of everything posted for that day. And if you see something that stands out, click on it, like it, and then it can go into the trending option.
I think, too, one of my problems is all my content's text. Art is consumed more easily and has a more – you can look at it and be like, oh, my God, that's amazing. You can't look at a writing or a blog or a podcast and think that's
but you see how they do that whole page?
Yeah.
So you can just click what's been uploaded in the last hour, and it goes – you see a whole page of new uploaded stuff, so you just see this giant mosaic and go, that's cool. Press on that. Go to that.
Exactly.
Like, and then that gets moved to the trending spot, which is the front page.
And then eventually, I want to talk to you about the hierarchy of adoption of content, or like the way artists have a finger closer to the pulse of cultures always.
Yeah.
And then it's like the philosophers, and then it's it's artists, musicians, poets, then the philosophers, then the higher sciences, and then it eventually gets Is this art? This can't be art. Hold on. This is a portrait, I think, right?
I doubt it.
Oh, what?
Oh, no, that's 3D. Yeah. Yeah, that's 3D. There's the model right there. That's ZBrush. And probably XGen. Yep, XGen hair. And it's probably Arnold. Yeah, I think it's rendered in Arnold.
Oh, God. Yep, rendering Arnold render. Yeah.
Yep, I can totally tell an Arnold render.
Wow.
And plus it's XGen, which is a hair creation tool.
Oh my God. Okay, well, this is a fascinating place to end this conversation, Jake. I really look forward to. Wow, I could look at this all day.
I got one for you. I'll just put this in here. This is the kind of stuff I like.
Photorealistic.
Old craggy men.
Wow.
And then you see how the model was created.
Man, that's fascinating. All right. Well, perfect place to end that. I'm going to probably waste too much time on ArtStation today. All right, cool. Anything else in closing?
No, that's about it. Good conversation. I think we've got a plan to go forward, at least get something done in the can. Go from there.
Awesome, man. Have a great one. Thanks again for a great conversation. We'll talk soon.
All right, later.
Cheers, man. Is it okay if I throw this up on YouTube?
Yeah, this is fine. There's nothing in there that's bad.
All right, cool. I just assume everything. I'm recording it and uploading it. Please let me know if that's not okay at any point in time.
No, that's why I didn't want to discuss money on here.
Perfect. All right, man. Take it easy.
Everything's good. I think it's good having to prove that even if this concept doesn't go anywhere and someone comes up with it later, we can be in the Wikipedia as the first people to come up with it.
Hey, if
right?
There's no Jake. I got to tell you, man. I feel like I found my thing. If it doesn't work the first time, there's something we're doing wrong because this idea works.
It does. It does.
Yeah. I can't. So we'll tweak it. I'm not going to quit. In other words, it's like
I'm telling you. I think in some way you can get some sort of, even if it's so technologically advanced, to pull off in the amount of time or money that you have.
Yeah.
Someone will give you money to do it.
This is one of those things I don't want. If once you have outside investors come in and it's not crowdfunding.
Not investors.
Yeah.
If you get to a point where you get to that area, make a non-for-profit, have it donations, and set it up as a non-for-profit like Wikipedia, and just put it out there and then disconnect from it.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. If I die and it's not, we haven't made money off of it.
No. If you literally do a non-for-profit, set it up, get it to the point where it can go decentralized, you send it out to the world, make it happen, fund it a little bit, and then shut down the non-for-profit and let it go.
There you go. Ideally, we'll get it to a way
outside money. That's how you do it.
Yeah, if we can get it to a way where it funds itself through network effects and blockchain technology, and we can work on it permanently and without ads, no ads, no external manipulation or moderation. No,
like GitHub was for a while.
Keep it like GitHub. Keep it open though. Yeah. Open source. The whole thing's open source. You could go steal all the code, run it yourself, change the code. It'll be. I think
they're non-for-profit too.
GitHub.
Yeah, aren't they?
I don't know, but it's just stupid. It's like you have to have this subscription. It makes sense why they do it that way, but you have to have the subscription because they've got to run their servers and all this stuff.
Right.
It'll be like the Unix, or sorry, not the Unix, but the Linux of the internet.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't exist yet. Everything you have, the Linux runs the internet. Linux is free, but the internet has paywalls. It's just kind of this ironic consequence.
You need to look into Blender, which I make fun of on a regular basis, but now there's Netflix movies and stuff made with it. It's a 3D application that's community-based, completely open-sourced, totally free, built by the community, has been being built by the community since the 90s. I rag on it because it seems like every Tom, Dick, and Harry homeless person is like, have you heard of Blender? Like, well, yeah, I've heard of Blender. Uh-huh. And I used to make fun of it not being professional, but now it's being used in movies.
Wow.
It's used on a Netflix show. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Blender.
Wow.
And it's totally free, and it's like high level now. And the community built it.
On that note, I have a vision for the perpetual proportional compensation for open source contributions for software. And so if we can get that, and we can change the way that social media is approached today, and then reorient the identity of a user to their actual identity, which we can do this from the knowledge system, then we don't need Facebook owning all of our data. And like there are lots of people working on this problem, but they haven't brought it full circle. And so if we have the perpetual compensation for open source contributions, then Blender gets better because people get paid to work on Blender without any kind of controlling body.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is the idea that gets us to all my other ideas. And I've got a shit fuck ton of ideas.
Right now, I'm just so excited that there could be a forum where I would know the person I'm discussing something with knows what they're fucking talking about.
Yeah. on a macro or a micro basis.
Right. And just the fact, because sometimes you're getting a discussion with somebody and you're like, wow, I should look into what he's saying. Maybe he's on the right track. Then it turns out he's just some jackass that just heard about something that's putting it out there.
Yeah.
And you fall down a rabbit hole that you didn't need to go down because it's fucking wrong. I hate it.
Truth is the ultimate filter of ideology, Jake. And if you're possessed by an ideology, you're just spewing other people's thoughts.
Right. But you can BS a certain distance. But then if someone really knows what they're talking about and looks into what you're trying to tell them, you've just wasted their time.
Exactly. And time is money, man. Time is money. We want to save people time and we want to make people money. We want to both save people time and make people money.
And having knowledge open to everybody means that 100 people don't have to go back and do what 100 people already did. Those 100 people can do further that the other 100 people didn't get to.
While we're riffing on the fringe benefits here, well, I say fringe, but really, really cool. Imagine if every book had an audiobook spoken by infinitely different. So that's what you do. The ultimate way to prove that you read something. Okay. Chimes and gangs. And eventually Einstein either can't do his research. I go and read it to you, have the transcript, and the most accurate transcript goes and you get scored based on how accurately you read something into your voice dictation.
That can be the second animation.
Exactly. And then you've got translations of books, and that's all free. And then eventually, this is a really cool bit. The network has some, the network, once we hook this up to a blockchain, the network will have some kind of community bank. And that community bank will be used to publish. You can have hardcover books and softcover books published for free, and 3D creations. Eventually, if you get to, art, 3D creations printed for free that people can buy. And then the key here to free stuff is the longest attribution chain wins.
Right.
Just like genetics.
Right.
And everybody's like,
Stelter's funeral, because he reads
listen to that.
excerpts in the man's voice out of the book.
That's so fucking cool.
And it's like, I want to read his book now, the full book. Like, he basically reads, he says 30, 40 pages to you. And he does it in the artist's voice because it's written in first person.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, that's wonderful. If you could do that with other books and inspire people, like, I'm going to go find this guy's journal and read the whole thing now.
Yeah.
Because I would have never done it if I didn't hear this guy reading me the parts from it.
Absolutely. And
I think we talked about that idea.
Yeah. And then that doesn't even touch on, like, hey, if I'm writing, I've got a live book. I'm writing a book live. It's not really even a book. It's just like a collection of ideas that go together. And so I'm writing that live, and it's on my YouTube channel, like 3-4 hour videos. Just skip around and you'll see what I'm doing. I'm just typing stuff. And in the middle of it, I'll be like, okay, if you're watching this right now, it's like a reverse archive. I'm just like trying to prove to me that you're watching this, and then you'll get a share of my profits from this book if it ever goes out. So it's like
one of the best things that happened, and it happened a long time on the internet, is when Radiohead put out their album for donations only.
Oh, wow.
And they made as much money as they would have at an actual publishing company.
Yeah.
They were the first people that I know of to do that.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that was like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to write a book and be like, if you like it, read it. If you want to throw me a few dollars, that's great too.
How about we make that one better, and that nobody has to throw you any dollars. They just have to prove that they read it and show and talk about it, and then you get paid.
Right. That would be amazing. And it would be amazing if it's in Bitcoin technology that I could go online and buy another book off Amazon with.
Bingo. Or get that book for free.
Right. But I gotta eat an apple somewhere. And
you do not need you need to eat an apple, but you can withdraw that currency for, paying for things like your food and stuff like that.
Exactly. That's what would be amazing. And you could trade it with a farmer that happens to like the fact that you taught him rocket physics.
There you go.
He's like, I'll take your Bitcoin because you taught me how to make my car run. Here's a ton of apples. It goes right back to the original bartering system.
But it's a more liquid bartering system. Yeah. And it turns knowledge into actual power. So keep in mind.
I mean, even if this thing turns into the fact that you can only buy knowledge with these knowledge coins.
You can't buy knowledge with no. We haven't gotten into the liquidation of these, so let's save that for the next conversation.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
That's process. That's economic process. So that'll be video.
Right. That has to be part of this, but later.
Don't say anything. Hold on. Economic process.
Yeah.
for how we do that is video 3. Now, last thing is we can take Steve Jobs' life and we can say this is all the stuff Steve Jobs learned at each point in time in his life. And so if you want to go through his journey, it's like his live AR, VR autobiography. And you can walk through all of that and learn the knowledge that he learned, and to a point where he learned it to that point. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, if you could do it with those people, that's what this will allow us to do eventually. Create games where you can experience people's educational and and lives in VR.
Yeah, in January, like I said, I'm gonna learn how to make molds and casting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start from no knowledge of even how to put the gear together to hopefully be able to do it by the end of January.
that's
I'll
awesome.
record that process.
Yeah,
And
let's put it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And start thinking about any other content. Please share. Like, this is fascinating. I'm going to listen to this podcast here.
This blew my mind. I've never heard this before. And when I listened to it with my wife, and she was even into it. It's like you took a person from 200 years ago, and when you listen to it, we have the same problems now that this guy was going through. It's a human experience. It's wonderful.
It's there's a lot more intrinsically human than there is, and that just gets into literally the last thing, because I got to hop off here. But yeah, I know. It's like the conversation. Okay, let's hop off. Oh, actually, hold on. But the most beautiful things are the most natural, and there are no disagreements in nature. There's no falsities in nature. You just look like, what's false about the trees? There's nothing. So that the humans come along and we're like, oh, we're so fucking smart. We develop spoken language, but spoken language is like a really, really, really high level abstraction of reality. And so nobody can figure it out, but there is no natural falsity. And so what we need to start understanding is that as people, we're all part of nature. And that's the psychedelic idea that, you go
Right.
back to nature. It's not, you don't have to have the psychedelic experience to know that, though. It's just like connection is natural, and like love is natural, and understanding is natural. Disagreement and hatred they're consequences of spoken language. Now,
Right.
you've got chimps and monkeys and shit that are killing each other, but there is some kind of language that goes on with those kind of primates. And the way the primate brain develops, it leads to conflict. But if we go back all the way to the trees, which is part of nature, which you could imagine we could do, there's some genealogical pathway that relates us to trees. The trees fall down and the trees die and we fall down, but the trees aren't out there yelling at each other. They're communicating, they're sharing messages. Everything's free to flow. It's just, that's the way the internet needs to move in.
Right.
So I hope that's somewhat insightful.
Good way to end it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end it. So fantastic conversation, Jake, as always, man. I'm so excited to see this animation. Send me keyframes. Send me.
I'll send you Illustrator stills when I put them up. I'll probably end up doing it after this weekend because I've got some prints I have to get done for somebody because I'm behind.
Definitely. Okay, cool. We'll catch up there, and let's post all this stuff.
Character first.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Let's post all this, by the way. Like all of it.
Yeah, totally. Post the whole process.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Awesome, man. All right. Well, have a great one. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk soon.
Later.
Cheers.